Hey, good morning and welcome back to day 22. Just a little update on the ankle. It is getting so much better, but honestly, yesterday at work, I was too ambitious with it and it got a little sore, but it's overall getting a lot better. Today, we are going to do some yoga. For day number 22. I still don't know what we're gonna do yet. It's every time we go on the mat, it's kind of we see where it ends up. But I just want to remind you guys that the whole point of 30 days of yoga was to take you from the very basics and get you to the point where you can start creating your own flows. And we're at the point now where I'm just taking you guys along with my practice. I don't know what I'm about to do because once we get there, my body's like, oh, this feels good today. And so hopefully through time, you guys will be able to get on the mat without me and just be like, what feels good today? So let's go. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start in the back of your mat and just put your feet together and spread your toes nice and wide and then drop them down to the ground and imagine gripping the ground with your toes. And then from here, we're just going to engage the quads, engage the upper body, roll your shoulder blades down and back, palms facing the front of you, and closing your eyes. Standing tall in this mountain pose, kind of shifting your weight forward and back to see where you stand without going too much. And then finding that middle ground in your foot and then pressing deeper into the ground here. On your next inhale, we're going to take our arms all the way up to the ceiling. And then we're going to take each elbow in our hands as we exhale, go to the right. Inhale, come up back to center. Exhale, lean to the left. Exhale back to center, and then we're going to release our hands, interlace the fingers, and shoot the palms up to the ceiling. Take a big inhale. And then exhale, swan dive forward, hinging at the hips. Keep a small bend in your knees, fold. And you can grab each elbow here too if you like. Or you can always put your fingertips on the ground and you can bend into one knee as you straighten out the other. Breathe. Hinging at the hips, not the low back, bending your knees as much as you need to. And find some stillness. Let's go ahead and roll up one vertebrae at a time. Head up last, taking your arms all the way up with a big inhale. And then exhale, hands at heart center. Beautiful. Let's go ahead, bring our feet to the width of your mat. And then we're just going to hinge at the hips, leading with the chest to the ground, folding forward. And again, we can bend into one side, straighten out the other. Just moving from one side to the other and breathing. Beautiful. When you're ready, find stillness again. And like I said before, bend your knees as much as you need to get here. So you can either have your hands on your shins, or if you want to come down and touch the ground, give a little bend in the knees. And then from here, we're going to bend our knees more, seeing our hips down and our chest up, hands in heart center. Yogi squat. And going back the other way, hands on the ground, hips come up, chest comes down. Breathe, let those hips open. And then coming back down with the hips, eyes and hands come up. Yogi squat. And last time, hips coming up to the ceiling, hands down to the ground. Bend your knees as much as you need to. We're going to walk our hands out, bringing our feet closer to one another, about hip width apart, into our downward dog. And breathe here, pressing the ground away. And let's just do 2 vinyasa flows. So let's hinge forward into that high plank. Either lower here or put your knees on the ground, hug your elbows in, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or low cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Let's do 1 more. Coming all the way forward into that high plank, core tight. Hug your elbows in and slowly lower, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or low cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Now we're just going to take that right leg, bending that right knee, coming to the tippy toes of the left foot, and then hug your knee to your nose, core, putting that foot in between the hands. And just hanging out here for a little bit. Breathing, you can rock back and forth. Then we're just going to drop that back knee down to the ground. Start walking your hands back, flexing your foot as you straighten out that leg. Getting a nice little hamstring pull. You can lean forward, chest to toes. And then walking your hands back into that plank position. Press into that knee. Lunge position. And breathe. And press back. Straightening out that leg 1 more time. Beautiful. And coming forward into that lunge. We're going to pivot into our Skandasana, our side lunge on the right side. So press your right forearm into your right knee. And then press the ground away, coming up into that wide-legged stance. Hands on your hips, pigeon toe your feet a little bit. We're just going to tilt our hips with our hands as we bring our chest down to the ground. Hands down to the ground, breathe. Maybe that's here. Maybe it's a little lower. Maybe it's a little further. If you can get as far as you can, maybe get your peace fingers, grab your big toes, and then bend your elbows, pulling yourself more to the ground with your head. And release. Straighten out your arms, hands back on the hips as we're going to hinge all the way back up. And then going into our Skandasana on the left side. Putting your left forearm on that left knee. Ooh. And let's go into that lunge position on the left leg. Breathe here for a second. Ooh. And let's take it into a downward dog here. And breathe for a moment. Bringing one heel down to the ground and the other. And then we're just going to bend the right knee, coming to bend the left knee, tippy toes of the right foot. As we bring the left foot in between the hands, core, 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 core. And drop that back knee down. From here, walking our hands back, straightening out that front leg, bringing your toes to your shins and your chest to your toes. And walk your hands forward, placing your hands onto your thighs. You press into that lunge. Always breathing. And straighten out that front leg, hands on the ground. Leaning chest to toes. Beautiful. Walking your hands back into that lunge, bringing that back leg up. And then pivoting into our Skandasana on the left side. And breathe. Maybe we can go a little lower here. And then pressing up into that wide-legged stance. We're going to go for it again. So hands on the hips, like we're going to tilt the hips. Leading with your chest all the way down. Hands on the ground. Maybe you can go a little bit further than you were able to earlier. Breathe. And then press the ground away with your hands, bringing your hands back onto your hips and hinging all the way back up. Adjusting your feet, toes going out a little bit as we're going into Skandasana on the right side. Maybe down a little bit more than last time. And coming into that lunge over the right leg. Finally pressing back into that downward dog. Breathing here for a moment. And then drop your knees down wide and tuck your toes, sitting on your heels into our child's pose. Arms extended all the way out. Breathing. And then slowly walking your hands all the way back up until you're seated on your heels. Let's take one big inhale up with the arms. Exhale, hands at heart center. Namaste. Okay, that's it. Okay, that was it, you guys. Thank you for coming to day 22. I will see you tomorrow for day 23. I think that's how it is. I already learned it. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed.